heard of these transcripts. Well, let me see if I can find them real quick. Yeah, I just heard there's a really good video, actually, or audio and video here. Just look up Chris Weidman's corner. Weidman thought it was February. Look that up. Just look up, it's on SureDog here. Jordan Breen wrote an article yesterday about it. It's really smart. Minute and 11-second video here that is the main audio is Matt Longo or Matt Serra and Ray Longo talking, his cornerman. So basically, we'll get back to where we're going here. It's unclear what is said between Weidman and the first doctor, but the first doctor actually calls in a second doctor to come in. So we're assuming that we're assuming that he has seen something he doesn't like. He wants to get a second opinion on it. In the meantime, Dan Miragliotta is outside of the ring, and this is another part that gets sketchy, and this is a part that was cleared up excellently by Herb Dean yesterday, and what I heard yesterday, whereas everybody else is actually getting this wrong. But this is actually really, including Weidman was bitching about it after the fight and everything. But this is an interesting little subject here. So while the whole doctor, the 5-minute stoppage is going on, and the doctors are checking to see what's up with Weidman, the other one's going in. Miragliotta goes to do what's called polling as an MMA referee. If you didn't clearly see something, now one thing needs to be said that is a major factor here. In New York State, replay is not specifically allowed. They don't have a clause that disallows it, but they don't have a clause that allows it. So there is most of the people basically going into this fight thought that it was not allowed. It just isn't allowed or not allowed. It's not allowed either. So there's this really strange gray area as far as that's concerned. That's a big blunder on their part. But this actually doesn't really have to do with the use of replay as far as Dan Miragliotta is concerned, because what he was doing is polling, and Herb Dean talked about this. If you're as a judge or as a referee, you don't see clearly whether or not, and this mainly takes place in, I think there's a few different criteria, but mainly the most common thing is deciding whether or not something's a foul. If you didn't see it clearly, you can go to the referees that are outside of the cage. Only the referees that are outside of the cage, not other people, the other referees. And you can just go down the line. I guess this is what you do in polling. You ask the first person, you say, I did not see what happened clearly. Did you see what happened clearly? The first person says no. You ask the second person then, okay, did you see what happened clearly? And then the second person says yes. They then can tell under just like a clear faith rule, as a referee, a state-sanctioned referee also, they can then tell the original referee what they saw. Now, the original referee does not have to take that, what that person says and do it, but, they're very mutually, they all know each other, they respect each other, they're all very good. And in this case, Dan Miragliotta came out and talked to Big John McCarthy, who is generally the most respected referee in mixed martial arts. And during this whole thing, while the doctors are going on, Big John, he watched the replay and saw very clearly on the replay, this is where it also gets pretty controversial, that both of the strikes were legal knees. They were legal knees, that he had lifted his hand off of the mat before he landed the knees. At which point, Miragliotta comes back into the octagon and reverses his original call from illegal knees to legal knees, to where it is a legal knee. Now, this is why I brought up that 5-minute thing before. we're probably like 2.5 minutes, maybe I would say 3.5 minutes into the 5 minute period of which you normally see people being given for a foul. But since the strikes that were once called a foul was now reversed to be called illegal strikes, you then, as the referee, have to start the fight immediately. You have to restart the fight immediately, just because it's unfair to give the person a break. You know what I mean? It ends up being unfair either way, no matter what. But I mean, they already are going to get a 2.5 or 3.5 minute break, as we just said. But you have to start the fight immediately. Now, so at Dan Miragliotta's discretion now, the 5 minute period is up. He is asking, now he has to ask, basically, since the doctors are in here, now it's whether or not Chris Weidman can continue. That's where we're at this point. The fight needs to start now. Can he continue? And apparently, according to this video I just watched, Ray Longo and Macera say that when they asked him what date it was, they were like, "Oh, nobody's going to know what date it is." He apparently told them that it was February. Weidman told the doctors that it was February and that he didn't know what date it was. And I think that's what prompted the first doctor to bring the second doctor into the cage. Basically asked the same stuff. There are rumors that he said that he couldn't continue. Like when Dan asked him, "Can you continue?" And he said no. There are rumors that there are audio surfaced of that. I didn't really have time to look it up. And I mean, I guess I'll say I don't know, one way or the other, whether or not that's true. And I'm not even sure. I mean, that would make a major difference, actually. I guess if he did say that, that would be clear. But even if he didn't say that, it's not really up to him at this point, because that's what the doctors are for. That's what the doctors are doing. They're the ones that come in there and that they have to step in when they see something wrong. They determined that Chris Weidman could not continue. And now he really was rolling around and shit on the ground. He was sitting on the ground milking it. It looked like he was milking it. He was probably also hurt, but you know what I mean? To me, it looked like he was trying to get Gegard disqualified with his body movement, his just everything, like him laying on the ground, him like all this. That's actually kind of why I think he might have told one of the first doctors that he couldn't continue or something, because I think he was trying to get Gegard disqualified. I really do, and I think most people actually do too. If you watch the fight, it definitely seems like it. After Miragliotta tells him that the knees were legal, all of a sudden he's standing up. He's talking to him like somewhat more normal. He's he's trying to look much more coherent. But the doctors determine that he's unable to fight because of what he said before that. So the fight is scrapped. Now, in order to put a decision on this thing, a result, it now basically, so the fight is over. Is it going to be a disqualification victory for Chris Weidman, or is it going to be a TKO victory for Gegard Mousasi? And basically what it comes back down to is the changing of the original rule from illegal knees to legal knees. If it would have been illegal knees, it would have been a DQ victory. Weidman can't continue. Weidman wins by disqualification because of an illegal knee. And this is actually what Weidman bitched about pretty heavily in his post-fight press conference, is that he just kept saying, and a lot of people have said, instant replay is not allowed in New York. Instant replay is not allowed in New York. All this shit. Which, it is kind of true, but kind of not. I mean, it actually is allowed. But Miragliotta wasn't even using instant replay. He was technically using a process called polling, which is allowed and is recommended. Not specifically in New York, but with the MMA judges, it's specifically recommended that you do so. It's, they do it. Herb Dean says he's done it before. I mean, multiple times. So, so Chris Weidman can't continue. The knees are ruled legal knees. and Gegard Mousasi wins by a TKO with knees to the head in the second round. Mousasi was kind of said that that's kind of what you deserve for trying to basically cheat the rules or take advantage of the rule book. That's what he said in his post-fight conference. He's like, I'm out there fighting. I'm not taking advantage of the rules. I'm not putting two hands on the. I'm fighting. So if you want to take advantage of the rules, that's probably what you deserve. Or some to that effect. I really liked what. I actually liked both of their post-fight speeches or little conferences. I thought that they were both very telling. Unfortunate, and the information that Weidman has was just unfortunately not correct on a couple of things. The replay New York situation, things like that, and it's pretty unclear what was. So maybe sometime we'll actually get a full clear idea of what was said between him and the doctors, the doctor and the doctor, the doctor and Dan Miragliotta, any of that. But yeah, Gegard Mousasi, I guess he gets the TKO win. Weidman wants an immediate rematch, he says. Gegard says, I guess I would do that, but at the end of the day, I want the belt, yada, yada, yada. He's talking about he's a top 3 fighter in the division. He thinks he would be favored against Bisping immediately. Like if they were to fight right now, he would be the favorite against Bisping, and I think it's probably likely that that's true, actually. He named the people he's beaten. He's beaten Jacques Array. He's beaten Mark Hunt. He's beaten fucking, I can't remember who all else. Weidman. I mean, he's beaten a lot of motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying? Some of the who's who of the, everything. I mean, Mark Hunt. I mean, that was not even his division. You know what I mean? He tapped Mark Hunt out with a fucking armbar. He armbarred Mark Hunt. I mean, that's fucking, think about that. Most middleweights wouldn't even fight Mark Hunt. He scares the shit out of heavyweights and light heavyweights. So, I don't know. But what's next for Mousasi might be fucking super interesting, I think. Mousasi is quickly becoming one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. Let's take a look at the rankings here. See, he's 5 right now. Obviously, he's going to be higher than Weidman, who's 4 right now. They're going to probably have to switch positions. Jacques Array versus Robert Whittaker, I do believe, is coming up this weekend. We're going to talk about that on the show later. But yeah, Yoel's up there, Bisping, Luke Rockhold, Jacques Array, and Mousasi. I would say he's top 5. Maybe top 3, I guess. Probably not. But honestly, maybe. He might beat Rockhold. And then these wrestlers, it's difficult to say. He needs to learn how to stop a takedown. He might be Bisping too, though. But yeah, good win there. Good win in the main event. Obviously, massively controversial, and we're going to hear more and more about it, I think, for a while, and we're going to hear more negative talk, especially coming from fighters and fight camps and things like that, about the New York State Athletic Commission. I think they might shy away from doing title fights, UFC-style title fights there for maybe a few months, and let them get some smaller programs or some smaller UFC cards under their belt, just as experience. I guess actually the overall fight promoter for the New York State Athletic Commission or whatever, she was present at the time, and she was actually the person who Dan Miragliotta asked if it was legal, I think, to look at replay or something like that. And I don't think she really knew or something like that. There was some sort of controversy as far as like whether or not she even knew whether it was or wasn't. And looking in her background, she doesn't have any major MMA experience. You know what I mean? She only has Indian casino experience. And that's for a UFC championship fight. That's for the state of New York. That's obviously like somewhat we'll say behind. Not quite as good. The New Jersey State Athletic Commission actually took a jab at the New York State Athletic Commission, basically telling them how things go and what, and that they've always been recommending to other athletic commissions to use replay and all this other shit. And I don't know. Jersey obviously a little bit upset that a lot of the cards are going to New York City. Like the McGregor card and all that stuff that you would normally possibly be in Jersey there. taking a little